A fear of financial loss. Okay, so a lot of people, they get into this business very much like we've described already, and then they realize, again, very, very kind of related, that, hey, I've got to buy leads. I've got to invest in leads. I've got to put money down in order to give this business a full, right, honest college try. And what many agents do, and this is where they proverbially start circling the bowl till they're flushed out of the business, is they start to let their fear override their hope. And I'm not talking about blind faith. You can have a measured, reasonable faith, but they let their blind fear, really, of investing money and the fear of loss of that money start to direct their purchasing decisions or investment decisions into leads. We call this scared money. And you can kind of read between the lines when you talk to certain agents. They say things like, yeah, I get that face-to-face, direct mail is king, but why don't I start with some age leads? Or maybe I should do the Facebook leads just to kind of put my foot in the water and see if it's for me. And you can see through the process that they are scared of full and total commitment. And the cost that it takes, the price you pay, you've heard that before, I'm sure, the price that you have to pay to give yourself the best chance of success. And what ends up happening, time and again, it's happening right now, probably hundreds of agents across America, and Final Expense at least, not to mention other businesses as well, or other lines or niches as well, is they buy an inferior lead, they work the inferior lead, and guess what they get? Inferior results. Now, who would have thunk it, right? But it's because it's the fear of that financial investment begins the flushing and circling of the bowl to where they fail out of the business. And then they leave with a chip on their shoulder thinking this business is like a scam, it's a pyramid scheme, and it's a ripoff, etc. So how do you deal with this? Well, a couple of things I'll give you, so some advice I've picked up along the way. Because we are all faced with this temptation is to cut corners or to do it differently or to think that you're different. I don't need that. That's just for those people. I can do it this way or with this system because it sounds sexier. So it's less money, but I not have to be totally commitment, or I don't have to be totally committed. My advice here is a couple of things. Number one, you get what you pay for in this business. Okay, many a times, not always, but most of the time, the price you pay for the lead is a direct correlation to the quality of that lead. So when you pay really low for leads and you try to save money, don't be surprised when the low price of that lead leads to low quality. Another thing in this business, I think all of us who are watching this broadcast now can agree, that you want all the odds in your favor, right? I mean, if I were starting this business or any business, I want to have great training, right? I want to have the most superior training available. I want the best products for my clients because I know that gives me the best chances of selling them, right? So if I want the best training and the best products, why is it that so many agents choose the worst leads, the cheapest leads, that are the lowest quality? It doesn't make sense because leads are an imperative part of this business that you can't be cheap on. So you have to change the way you think. You're running a business now. You have to invest in the best. I repeat, invest in the best. And the best leads for Final Expense, let's say, are direct mail. Yes, it's going to cost you money. Yes, it's a bigger risk potentially. But why wouldn't you give yourself the best chance of success if you had the capability to do it? Why would you do a business, half-ass and expect to have superior results? Half-ass is half-ass results. Okay? Again, I say this because I see so many agents, sometimes in my agency, even though I try to convince them otherwise, they don't listen. And a lot of other agents nationally follow the same inferior way of thinking. Okay? So what about the risk of this business? I mentioned it, and it's true. This business is a risk. There ain't no guarantee that you're going to be successful. Even if you do everything right, even if you buy the best leads, there's no guarantee that you're going to be successful. How do you deal with that kind of fear of investment and possibly losing? One of the things that I teach my agents is that when we look at the reality of this business, I've taught, trained, recruited agents for close to 10 years now. And of the 3,000 plus that have come through my door since then, I would say that everyone who had long-term success made, and this is important, listen up, made sales in their first week, telesales or face-to-face. Once they were trained, once they do their products, once they were sales ready, and they started getting leads and getting on the phone or getting in the home, the ones that succeeded made sales in the first week. Likewise, the ones that didn't were gone. Now, they may not have just quit all of a sudden. They may have fought the good fight. But the vast majority who earnestly tried in that first week to make something of this business, that didn't make any sales, but they tried, this business usually isn't for them. And they should either pursue another agency, maybe my agency's not good enough, or maybe the product's bad, but what they're doing doesn't work. And that's a good thing, and it directly relates to my point here with fear of financial loss. Here's my point. For those of you scared of going all in, this anecdotal kind of thing I've thought about and discovered is probably going to apply to you. So this isn't a business, final expense, Medicare, annuity a little longer sales cycle, ACA arguably maybe a little longer too. But if we look at final expense, mortgage protection, any kind of one call close insurance sales system, you need to get results in your first week. If you don't, and you've earnestly studied, tried, and prepared, this business isn't for you. So realistically, the risk of this business is marginalized or minimalized more than probably what you think. You really shouldn't be out tens of thousands of dollars in 6 months to then just discover, to have that eureka moment that this business isn't for you. You need to be making sales, etc. You need to, ASAP, you need to set a deadline to make sales your first week in the business if you're doing any kind of one-call close insurance product. Because if you don't do that, then you're not meant for this business. But if that's the case, you can now walk away with losses, but the losses aren't so dramatic that it's going to have such like a profound lifelong impact, right? So that's the reality of this business. So can you take a risk with a couple weeks worth of lead investment? That kind of puts it into more of a frame than thinking, oh, I've got to spend so much every week, because you should be making money pretty quickly. You should be making sales that first week. You should be getting cash flow that first or second week. And you should, if you do that repetitively, cover your costs fairly quickly and start to profit a couple of weeks to a month in. It really isn't a long process of cash flowing, covering cost, and then profiting. Again, that's one of the benefits of this particular type of business. So again, the point is, with this fear of financial loss, hopefully we've kind of given you some guidelines, if we're looking at final expense or Medicare, of setting a deadline of when you will define success short term and what you will do to pull out of it if you don't meet those terms of success.